Welcome to the Dashboard Effect Podcast. I'm Brick Thompson.
And I'm Landon Oaks.
Hey, Landon. Today I wanted to talk more about doing AI. We have clients in our data business. At Blue Margin, we build data lake houses and then do analytics and reporting on top of that. And more, our customers are coming to us and saying, hey, can you help us implement AI? And it makes sense because the data layer is critical for being able to do good AI, and we're good at doing that data layer. And we also use AI internally a lot. But what I wanted to talk about is that I think there are some misconceptions as I talk to clients, and they get it quickly as we talk about it. But one of the first ones I think we talked about in an earlier episode is the high failure rate of AI initiatives. And there's probably a couple reasons for that. The two stats I cite a lot were one from this spring. I think it was Gartner that said something like 60% of AI pilots or initiatives will be canceled by 2026. And then in August, MIT, I think in partnership with Harvard, came out with a stat that said 95% of enterprise AI initiatives are failing to deliver ROI. So they're not doing very well. And if you dig into the data and other sort of reporting around that, it comes back to data being the problem more than half the time, like not having a good data foundation where you've consolidated your silos and you have a good semantic layer and good governance and good security and that type of thing. Mm-hmm. So as people are looking at AI projects, they're getting sort of new AI vendors, professional services firms coming to them and saying, hey, we'll implement AI for you. We can do all these little agents. We can automate all of your work. And the reality is I've even talked to some CEOs that went down that road and spent even a couple $100,000 in one case and got nowhere with it. And I think a big part of it, other than the data layer, is trying to just kind of generically layer AI into their business, as opposed to knowing that there's a specific business problem that AI and agentic AI can help with. Yeah. And so I just wanted to talk about that a little bit and how do you approach that?
Yeah. What's kind of funny is you're talking about that, just do AI for me. It kind of brought back memories. We've been doing BI reporting for a long time. And early on in the process, we heard that a lot. Do BI, give us reports.
Can you implement BI?
And the first question always is, okay, on what, right? Like we can't just go throw out reports. It's going to be useless. So it's very similar what's going on with AI right now, which is interesting if you ask me.
It is. And actually, you're too young for this, but the same thing happened when the internet started really heating up in the mid and late 90s. Everybody was asking each other, what's your internet strategy? Mm-hmm. And people were hiring firms to come in and, do the internet for them. We called it do the World Wide Web, build an e-commerce site when you don't need one, or a new brochureware site or things like that. So it is very similar. And I think people will adjust, and as the AI tools get better, it will become obvious where to point them. Yeah. But right now, if I look at AI, there's sort of, other than machine learning, which is what used to be called AI, still is really AI, but there's sort of the chatbot, ChatGPT, Claude, those things, which we all use every day. Super useful. Yeah. Can get really good ROI out of them. They're a little messy. They hallucinate. They're non-deterministic, meaning you can ask the same question exactly the same way twice and get different answers, but very useful. And then the next sort of broad category would be simple agents. So things that are sort of maybe driven by a trigger, have an easy workflow, maybe call an API for one of these frontier models, large language models, to maybe summarize some data or do a transcription, something like that, and put it somewhere. Those seem to work pretty well too, with the caveat that you still may get some non-deterministic stuff that's a pain. And then the final one is sort of the holy grail that I think everybody's hoping is right around the corner, which is, hey, you can have complex agents, agentic AI, that can replace people. And people have tried it. I'm sure there are some cases where you can do that, but mostly it's not working yet because of those same problems. I think the sweet spot right now for companies is definitely implement the chat stuff. Mm-hmm. And try to get good adoption and do it in a smart way, obviously. But then those simple agents, I think there's a lot of value there. And if you have a specific business need or problem that can solve, and again, it needs to be simple, needs to still have human in the loop so you can correct if it does something weird. I think that's where there's an opportunity at this point. And so I'm advising, as I talk to CEOs or heads of IT, CFOs, I'm advising, look for that use case. Have a theory about how you could solve it with AI. Test it as cheaply as you can. And then if it's working, if it looks like it's going to give ROI, all right, then scale it up and start to roll it out to people and make it, really bulletproof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, starting small too will end up surfacing a lot of gaps that you wouldn't have known were there in the, had you just kind of gone full in. So it gives you a much better picture of what this is actually going to take. And then your next use case, let's say you move on, you have more of a roadmap, what you need to do, how to get there.
Yeah, I think that's right. And the tools are getting better and better. I think the agentic stuff is going to keep getting better.
Yeah.
I've heard people talking about, hey, we'll be replacing, entire classes of employees in the next year or two. Hearing things more recently, really interesting interview with Andre Karpathy, who's one of the luminaries in the LLM world, saying he thinks it's 10 years before you'll have that really, really good agentic AI. Meanwhile, there's lots of huge value along the way, especially in things like coding or the chat things or the simple agent things. And by a simple agent, I could give an example. Maybe you have something that watches your Otter that is recording your meetings. And if a new meeting lands in there, it kicks off a workflow that takes the recording, does a transcription, and summarizes it in some specific way for your company, and then sends out the summary to the right people, maybe with to-do, maybe adds to-dos to Asana or something like that. You can do that pretty reliably right now. And there are probably, maybe that's not a great example, there are probably things like that that would add value and deliver ROI to companies.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a good use case of what, where AI can actually be beneficial. It's, with myself, I used to use Otter, which is this, AI.
It's like a recording and transcription tool. Yeah,
exactly. And, it would be manual work. I'd have it join the meeting. I'd go take it. I'd copy paste it. I'd put it in, ChatGPT or Claude, and then I'd copy that and send it to the people who I need to. And I found myself, I stopped doing it. I was like, this is just kind of a pain. Is this really the best use of my time right now? I stopped doing it. There's been cases where I wish I'd still had it. But if it was automated,
if it just happened, there's probably ROI there.
Yeah.
But if you have to spend that 15 minutes, the ROI starts to become questionable.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. I think it does come back to what I talked about up front, though, which is that you have to have your data layer really in order, and not just data. Like, if you're in the Microsoft world, you have to have your intra organized. Mm-hmm. You have to have good governance around your data and your AI. There's a lot of stuff to figure out, and we're starting to do that for clients now. I tell them we're learning at the same time you are, so let's keep these experiments small until we figure out that they actually are going to deliver ROI, and then let's scale it from there. It's an exciting time, but I think it's a time also to be a little careful, and certainly watch out for a company that popped up 6 months ago and is going to implement AI for you. There may be things that they can do that are great for you, helping your teams adopt the LLMs, the chatbots for good uses, writing content, that type of thing. Although, whole nother topic on content slop too.
Yeah. Yep.
You need to not let them just write it. You need to have the idea. You need to review the output. You need to edit it extensively to make it your voice and your ideas. But anyway, a whole other topic there. All right. Well, that's really all I wanted to cover today. It's been on my mind a lot. I know you're working right now to start spinning up an actual AI practice in the company that I think will grow over the years. Our core still is based on the data, though. So critical to have that layer wired. So
yeah. I'm excited to see where we can go with this. And to your point, and one of the biggest things that I'm excited about is we have a lot of good data there for it already. It's been something we've been doing for a long time, so we can kind of lean on that, and we'll see. Sky's the limit.
I think it's gonna be good. I mean, it just keeps improving all the time. We may not be to the holy grail that some people are hoping for. I don't love the idea of replacing employees personally. Mm-hmm. I'm in a professional services business. I actually can't imagine like how you would do that with agents. But I do like the efficiencies in terms of delivering more value for the same money in the same time. I think it is fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Well, talk to you next time. Thanks, Landon.
All right. Thank you.
All right.